Okay, so one more time, hello to each of you guys. I hope you are well. As I emailed you before, in our tonight's session, we just keep working in the assessment task 2. Firstly, let me have a look on the assessment task 2. Let me share my screen. As I already showed you before, you know how to get access to the assessment template. You need to go to View, Collaborate, and here Content. You just need to go down and find the unit, which is this one, ICT PRG 302. And if you scroll down, you have the assessment task. So just click on the assessment task. There are two assessment tasks for this unit. The first one, which is pretty easy, just a quiz. The second one that I know that majority of you guys, you may have some questions or not sure if your password manager is working correctly or not, which is this one, assessment task 2. Firstly, download the template and let's to open it. Password manager, let me to bring it here onto this display, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so for assessment task 2, firstly, make sure that you put down your name and your student ID. And if you go down, you see that it has a couple of requirements. Firstly, you need to complete this template, and you need to upload it. I saw that a couple of you guys, you just uploaded the password manager. That's good, but I need this template for marking. So make sure to fill it. And also there are some other questions in this template that you need to answer. So there should be a couple of things that you need to upload. Firstly, this template. Put your name, your student ID, and obviously there are some questions here that you need to explain. For example, assessment task 1.1, it's asking you to put something here. Or for example, if you go down, task 1.3 is asking you to provide the design of your program, how it works, the pseudocode as discussed before. I'll show you one assessment sample as well, so you have some ideas on how to answer those questions. Obviously, you need to fill these sections. Also, as you see here, you need to upload your file as well. Your password manager doesn't matter if you're using VS Code or if you're using Google Colab or any other IDEs. When you complete your code, you need to upload it. It doesn't matter if you want to upload a p.py file, but please don't attach it to an email and send it to me, because when you attach a .py file to your email, weak security system automatically delete all of those files. It doesn't allow it to come to me. So just upload it into your View Collaborate. It doesn't need to email it to me. This template plus your file, as you see, fully functioning password manager application in a .py format or Google Colab or whatever, depending to your IDE. Also, it's asking you to create a video and show how you managed to fix some common errors that probably you got. An MP4 screenshot video of how to debug Python code. In your video, it might be 2-3 minutes. You email me and you ask if it's fine, for example, to have only your audio. That's fine. It's okay to capture it with your phone. That's okay. Just something to show, look, this was the error and that's the way that I fix it. For example, you may forgot to put a colon, indentation, uppercase, lowercase, or any other basic errors that probably you got. And then just take a video, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, just 1, 2, 3 errors and how you manage to fix it. But I reckon the main question is here on fully functioning password manager applications. And as discussed before, you have all the tools and equipments to write this code. Let's go to Google Colab and start writing that code. This code needs to have some requirements. If you keep going down uh, here in task 1.4, it says that your password manager needs to have some requirements and features. Firstly, it says that you need to have a menu. The first item in your menu is add stored credentials. The second one is view stored credentials. With your credentials, you need to ask for username, password, and a URL. Then there should be another options to view stored credentials. And finally, there should be an item to exit. It's asking you also to return to the menu after each action. So it means that we need to put a loop. So after each iteration, it goes back to the main menu. Also, it's asking you to create a text file for credential storage. And if a text file doesn't exist, to create it. If it already exists, to add your credentials to that list. That's the only part that I asked you to do a bit of research. I'm not sure if you spend time. If you didn't, I reckon it's good to spend a bit of more time, not just for this unit, for all the upcoming units. You definitely need, if you want to get a job in IT, if you want just to get the certificate 3, I can guarantee that you can get it. But if you want to get a job in IT, obviously the industry needs and requirements is much higher than what you learn in this curriculum in Cert 3 or even in Cert 4 in cybersecurity. So you need to be keen, you need to spend time, you need to go watch videos on YouTube, even using AI tools, that's totally fine. If it helps you, if you can learn, that's totally fine. But I ask you as an activity just to go and search how you are able to create a TXT file. In our tonight session, I show you also how to create a TXT file and how to add credentials to that file, and also appending new record. It means adding new records to the existing file. Also, displaying the TXT file content in a visually presentable way. So I will do that as well. Handle any input from the user and carry out actions without any errors. So it means that your code should work. So Mac asked about that. It should work. I'm not asking for fancy features or having libraries. If you want to use it and you know what you are doing, that's totally fine. But if you are not sure, for example, you just watch something or you ask ChatGPT, it gives you some codes and you don't know how it works. You have no idea what's the function of that line, what's the function of that code. I highly encourage you just to keep it simple, but you know what you are doing. Also, it's asking you to put some hash to explain what this section of your code is doing. The last section, as discussed before, providing an extra feature to encrypt your data, just ignore it because firstly, you need to know what is encryption, decryption, knowing about the encryption algorithm like AES, DS, and etc. And you have no idea about those things. So just forget this section. But your password manager needs to have these main functionalities. And this next task is asking about debugging and etc. Firstly, let me go to the Google Colab. And Google Colab, let me to reshare my screen. Screen 2. These are all the other things that we worked in the previous session. Let me to make it a little bit smaller. Cool. So these are all the activities that we had so far. You see conditionals, functions, loops, and etc. The last task that we had in the previous session was this one. Guess the number game to, for example, have a number and then asking some questions in a loop to finally find the right answer. Okay, I add a new block and imagine that we want to write the code. Firstly, if you go back to the assessment task, it's asking you to create some code to ask for, let me to open the Word file and bring it here so you can double check the requirements. 1.4. Yes. So firstly, it says that your password manager needs to have these 3 functions. Adding and install, adding some new credentials, including username, password, and URL, viewing the credentials, and exiting the program. That's the main requirement. So imagine that you want to write the code. You can start with print because firstly you need to print those items like a menu. We've worked on that so many times. You remember, for example, the case of a pizza shop. You wanted to take the order if they want to order a medium size, a small size, large size, having drinks and etc. So this is the first item. You can simply, it doesn't need to be exactly like this. Obviously, you may have your codes completely different. That's fine. If your code is working, that's fine. I'm just writing this code to give you some idea. So firstly, you need to start with print. Print what? So you can start with print number 1. Obviously, you need to have column number 1. And for example, name it add credentials. Add credentials. That's it. That's the first things, adding credentials. So it looks like a menu, and then the user can select number 1 to add credentials, number 2 to view credentials. So number 2, view credentials. Okay. And 3 to exit. These are the items that mentions in the assessment task. Add credentials, view credentials, and exit. So far I did nothing, just all the things that we had so far. Then we need to have a conditional if the user selected number 1, number 2, or number 3. So in order to do that, you can create a variable, name it anything you wish. For example, choice is equal. And you see that Google Colab also is helping you. Enter your choice or choose. You can even make it shorter. So obviously we don't need to have int because we don't need to turn it to an integer. So you can delete it because we just need to get a nest string. We don't need to convert it to a number. Or if you want to convert it to a number, it's totally fine. We can put int to convert it to a number. Two way to do that. And here keep a number. Or you can delete this integer and put this number 1 in quotation to make it a string. It's all up to you. So if you want to delete integer, you can delete integer. You know that input always gives you a nest string, and here you need to have a nest string. Okay, so if choice is number 1, so you need to have credentials or to create new credentials. We don't want to print it. Obviously, we want to ask for items. So what I do here, instead of printing something, I just put something like this, add credential. And you know that this is a function. We already worked on the functions in the last 2 sessions. At this stage, add credentials is a function, but we didn't define it. So we need to define, we need to say what is add credentials. We do it later. Let's to first create the main structure of our code. So if the choice is number 1, we need to have credential, add credentials. If the choice is number 2, view credential. And if it's number 3, to exit. So far I did nothing. You are familiar with all of those things. It will print, the second line will print, the third one will print exit. Then we ask the user to choose one of these 3 items, and we save the outcome in this choice variable. If the choice is number 1, we need to add credentials. If the choice is number 2, view credentials. And if the choice is 3, then to exit. Or if you wish, we can change this to something that is pretty familiar. You can type print goodbye and that's it, and then exit. They make it even more complex. Else, if, for example, the user put something different, not 1, 2, 3, they put something 4, 5, 0, or a symbol or a letter, which is not in this menu. For all other things, if it's not 1, if it's not 2, if it's not 3, then print invalid input or invalid choice. Okay, so it's nothing. It's just printing these 3 lines, asking for one of these items, save it in choice. If choice is number 1, to add credential. If it's number 2, to view credential. And if it's number 3, to print goodbye. For all other things, just to say invalid input. So let's run this code to see how it works. You see that it shows add credentials, view credentials, and exit. So if I put number 3, it says goodbye and done. So it's working. If I put number 9, for example, it says invalid input as we expected. But obviously, if I put number 1 and number 2, what happens? If you say number 1, Python goes here. If choice is 1, go and run this add credentials. So it doesn't have any idea what is add credentials. Let's see. Choice is number 1, and if I press enter, it asks for the username. So probably I have this code somewhere, but we need to define it. How to do that? Imagine this is the code that we had so far. Another thing that in the assessment task it asked was returning to the menu after each action has been completed. So what I do here, I need to create a loop. So this is all the codes. And what I do, I create a loop. So to create a loop, we need to have while. And we work in this example, while true. While true means till this condition is true, keep working. Then it stops. Obviously, all of those lines, they need to be indented. So I select all of those lines and I send them one space to the right. So while true, keep repeating this menu. Keep printing them add credentials, keep printing view credentials, keep printing exit, and go to this process again and again. Now that we have a loop, we can also use some other techniques that we learned in the previous class. For example, if I select number 1, it goes to add credential. If I choose number 2, it goes to view credentials. And if I press number 3, it says goodbye. And then here you can use break. You remember this as well. We had it in our previous classes. We had some commands when we wanted to stop a loop, like continue, which was skipping the current loop, or break, if you want to exit and terminate the whole process. So if you put break here, what happens? If someone enters number 3, it automatically terminates the whole process and it exits. Otherwise, if they choose number 1, it asks for the credentials, it gets it and save it. If you press number 2, again, you can see the credentials, and when you finish, it goes back to the menu. And if you choose number 3, it terminates the whole process. Okay, so that's everything we had in the previous classes. Also, you remember, sometimes when you want to have multiple lines of codes just under one function, you can create functions. How to create function? You remember, firstly, you need to define it. Def, when you want to define the functions, you need to put def, def, and I name it main. Obviously, you need to have colon. So define main block of my code as this, and obviously all of these lines should be indented. So I sent them another space back to the right, because function needs to have indentation, void it needs to have its own indentation, if it needs to have its own indentation. So you see that I have 3 levels. For the function, I just use def main. Again, remember, this is the previous example, def guest name. So I put the code, I write all the commands and lines. What I did, I just created functions like this, guest name, parentheses open, parentheses close, and colon. It means defining this new function. What are the content of this function? These are the content. And whenever you want to run it, you just need to call the function as discussed. Put the function name, parentheses open, parentheses close, and press enter. It will run the code for you. Look, there is another one here. For example, we had the ATM example. You see, it has all of the code. Define ATM. So you name all of these lines ATM. And whenever you want to run this line of code, you just need to type ATM, parentheses open, parentheses close. That's all of our previous example. Temperature converter. So you created all of your codes. Anytime you need it, you just need to type temperature converter, parentheses open, parentheses close. The same way here. Now I created a function. The function is main. You can name it any other things. And here, I just need to type main. So whenever you want to run your code, you just need to call main. What it does, it goes and print these 3 lines. Then it asks for an input, which might be number 1, 2, or 3. For number 1, it needs to add credentials. For number 2, to view credentials. For number 3, for exit. So number 3, it's very easy. Doesn't have anything. Just print goodbye and break. Done. It has nothing else. But for these 2 options, if you choose number 1 or if you choose number 2, we need to define what are those functions. Again, it's a function. It means that if the user select number 2, then run view credentials. So at this stage, Python doesn't have any idea what is view credentials or what is add credentials. So you need to define it. This is the main body of your code. Everything is fine. We have a loop, we have a if, and we have a main function. Now what we want to do, I want to create the functions for this, add credentials. Okay, so how to do that? You can say def add credential. So you see that Google Colab automatically suggests you something like this. Add credential means create 2 variables, username and password. So 2 variables. Then we have an input. We work on input so many times. I gave you, I reckon, like over 40 examples. If you are not still 100% sure, you just need to go review the previous recordings and do more practices. Input, it prints whatever you have inside the parentheses, and also it waits for the response. So I have a username, I have a password, I have input for username, I have input for password, and also the assessment task says you need to have a URL as well. You see, username, password, and URL. Okay, so it's pretty easy. You can create another variable, name it URL, and then input and enter URL. So far, I still use all of our previous skills. There is nothing new here. Add credential is a function. In this function, it creates 3 variables like username, password, and URL. Then it has an input. Input generate a string, which is fine. We just need to have a string. Do we need to have anything else? No, it seems that it's all good. You can go and test. But before testing, I also need to define view credentials. Because here, if the user selects number 2, it needs to go and run view credentials. So Python arrives here, view credentials, what is it? I have no idea. So you need to go and create it. If Python arrives here, add credentials, it goes up to see if it has any data about what is add credentials. So it arrives here, add credentials. Okay, I need to create a variable, username. Okay, I need to create a question, enter your username, then save it in this variable. And then for the password, and then for the URL. The same way, you need to define view credentials. So you can say view credentials, parentheses open, parentheses close. Okay. At this stage, for viewing credentials, because we don't have a file yet, it doesn't have any source to go and read the data. But we need to put something here. Let's go back to the assessment task to see what it says. It says when you create a new record, like a new credentials, it should create a txt file to save those data. And if the txt file doesn't exist, to create it. After creating a txt file, then it should append new records to the text file. Append means to keep the previous data and add the new data at the end of the list. For example, imagine that you have a username and a password. for one website, and now you want you want to create the second record. So we don't want to delete the previous one. We want to keep the previous one as well, and we want to add the second one or add the third one. We call this appending. This task is pretty new. It's called file handling. Before jumping to write the code, let me to go to the board and show you something. If I can find, I can't find the pen for my iPad. I find it anyway. Let me explain it in the Google Colab. For these sections, we need to create a file. How to do that? That's the new topic that you didn't have it. How to create a TXT file for credentials. I just explained it here. I can't find my iPad pen, unfortunately, so I just explained it here for you. If you want to create a file like a TXT file, it's pretty easy. Let me to create another block here. Imagine I want to create a TXT file or a CSV file, which is very, very common when you are working with the Python codes. The first things when you want to create a file is to use open. For example, I type open a test.txt file. Open is the function when you want to create a txt file, test.txt or any other name. My first file.txt, or it might be .csv. It might be any other format. At this stage, we just keep it simple. So when you want to create a txt file, we should do it with the help of open. Open, parentheses open and parentheses close. That's the function when we want to open a file. As discussed, file might be txt, it might be csv, it might be .log, or any other format. That's okay. When you want to open a file, you just need to type open, parentheses close. Open, it needs to have two parameters, like function. If you remember in the previous class, when we've been working about the functions, we said function can get generated with no argument, or it may have one argument, or it may have two arguments. We had so many examples working with one argument or two arguments. It means that it needs some input. So here what I say create a test.txt file. It means it's a txt, a text, and the name of the file is test. Here also we have a comma. After comma, you can define the mode. There are three different modes. W means write. So W to write. What it does when you put W in the quotation, it means create a file or overwrite an existing one. So it's very important. If you use W, it means create a new file or overwrite. Overwrite means you already created a credential. If you go to save the second one, it will delete the previous ones. We don't want that. We want to keep the previous old credential and add new. So W is 1, so it's equal to write. Instead of W, you can put R. So you can guess when you want to read a file, you can put R, open test.txt, comma R. It means open a file only for reading. If you want to update your file, but you don't want to delete the old data, instead of using W, you can use A, which is standing for append. Append means open a file to add more data to the end of the list. So if you already have 10 credentials, you want to keep it, that's fine. and you want to create a new credentials, it will add to the end of the list. So here you can say W, you can say append, or you can say read. Imagine for this task, we want to append as the assessment asks you. It says append new records to the text file without overwriting the previous entries. So we don't want to overwrite the previous entries. It means that instead of using W, I need to use A, standing for append. That's the only new things that you need to use for this task. Okay, now Python opens this test.txt file. If it doesn't exist, it will create it. It will create a txt file, name it test, and you can say, hey, after creating this file, save it somewhere for me. For example, save it in a variable name file or any other names. Again, it's a variable. So what happened here? Create a file, name it test. File is a txt, it's a text. I want to append data, and when you open it and create it, then save anything that you have in this variable, which is file. Okay. Now the file has been created. If you go and run, the file has been created. You can also use this command like file.write when you want to put some things in your file. You can type file.write and type, for example, hello, this is a test. Okay. Only I have two new topics: opening a file, writing something in that file. Exactly the same way that you open a Word file and you type inside that Word file. When you want to ask Python to do that task for you, firstly, you need to open it. How? By using open and using .write. And when you're done, you can simply close it. Close. Done. So if I run this code, let's see what happens. It gives you a tick. It seems that nothing happened. I said, just go and create this file, put hello, this is a test inside the file and close it. Now, if you go to this menu here and you see table of content, find and replace, if you go down to the files and open it, now you see that this test.txt has been generated. That's a txt file. So you can download it. Look, if I click here and I download it, it goes to the download folder. And if I open and you see that this is a test. It's interesting, yes? You just created a test.txt. So this is the test.txt. And what you said, hello, this is a test. You see, hello, this is a test. So this is the txt file. It generated for you. You can download it. You can rename it. You can delete it or anything else. You can try, give it another name instead of test. Just put it my first. Let to add another one like this. File is equal to open something like my first text dot txt. What I want to do, I want to have as appended mode. Then file write. This time, instead of hello, this is a test, you can put something different. Like I try to create a text file to see how it works. So if I run this, you see that the file has been generated, my first txt. If I download it, the same way it goes to the download folder and you see that it shows I try to create a TXT file to see how it works. It's just taking time, but that's okay. So that's the way that you can create a TXT file. Now that you learned this too, I delete it because I don't need these blocks. Yeah, it downloaded. Let's see. Downloads my first TXT. You see, I try to create a text file to see how it works. Okay, so pretty easy. Let me close it. Don't save and close. Cool. So for the first section, we want to ask for the username. We want to ask for the password. We want to ask for the URL. And when we have all of those data, the next step is to save them in a file. So what can I do? I can um, create a variable like file or f or whatever, open credentials.txt or give it another name like password.txt, passwords.txt. A, you know that it's for the append. And also you see that f.write here instead of f, you can put file. That's the same thing, doesn't matter. The same way that I created a test file, file.write, it means that create this password.txt. It's a text file. And when you create it, it's in append mode. It means that it will take new credentials and it will save it. Then go and write. Write what? Username. What is username? You have username from this first input, comma, password, comma, URL. And here you see that Google Colab automatically suggests this as well, \n. You don't need it, but it's not a rocket science thing. \n, it means that after printing this or after getting all of this data, go to new line. If you're not sure how it works, it's pretty easy. It just goes to the next line. For example, if I type print hello world and you run it, you see that it's type hello world. Or what you can do, you can put \n and you see that it print hello in the first line and word in the second line. So \n is nothing but anything after n, it needs to go to the next line. See the difference? Hello world, it print the whole in one line, or \n, anything after n, it needs to go to the next line. So here Google Colab suggests that after putting the URL, you can put \n to go to the next line. It means that it shows the first credential in one line, then for the second credentials, it goes to the next line in order to make it more readable. Here, if you want to even make it nicer, you can use, for example, this pipe, or it's a vertical line instead of comma, or you can keep it as comma. Just let it keep it as comma. It's good. So what happens here? It creates a TXT file. It put username, comma, password, comma, URL, and then it goes to the next line. And then you have to close it. So file, close. If you want to make it a little bit nicer, you can print something like credential saved. So it's almost done. Your password manager is ready. This section, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 line. It asks for the new credentials. The same way, you need to read the credentials. If the credentials is already created, we need to go and read the file. How to do that? Again, it's pretty easy. You can type file, open password.txt and read it. So it goes and open the passwords.txt, and here you have R. And as I explained, R means go and read the data. Okay, so let's see how our code will work. Seems that everything is ready. Now let's rerun the code. Let me also to delete this blank to avoid confusion. Main was not indented. Okay, so now what happens? Python start from the last line. It's calling the main function. The main function says go and print add credentials. It's printed. View credentials. It's printed. And exit. So if I say 3, 3 means is choice number 3? No, it goes to elif. Is it 3? No, it's 2. It goes to next elif. If the choice is 3, print goodbye, break, and that's it. Exit. So if I press enter, it says goodbye and done. It says stopped working. Let's try again. This time I put number 6. So number 6 should end up with invalid input. You say it's invalid input, and again it repeats the questions. Add credentials, view credentials, and exit. So it's still waiting for your response. Why it again went and printed those questions? Because it's a loop. You have a while loop. Again, I put 5. It will print invalid input. And again, it asks you add credentials, view credentials, or exit. If I select 3, it will exit. Now, this time I press number 1 to add credentials. So if you press 1, what happens? If the choice is 1, go and run add credentials. So Python will ask what is add credentials. It goes up. Okay, add credential means I need to print these 3 lines, username, password, and URL. Then I need to create a password.txt file in an append mode and add those 3 items to that file and then close the file, and then I need to print credentials saved. Let's see. Here I put number 1 and I press enter. It says enter the username. For example, imagine the username is Mac. Okay, that's the username. Then if I press enter, it goes and it asks for the second input. Enter the password. Imagine password is Mac123 exclamation mark. Then I press enter and it asks for the URL. So URL is nap.com.au. Okay, so what happens when I press enter? It shows credentials saved and it goes back to the menu, asking again to add credentials or view credentials. If I go here, you see that when you add credentials, it creates a file with this name, passwords.txt. The same way, if now you go back to the files, you see that passwords.txt. And if I stop this, and if I download this password.txt and open it, now you see Mac, comma, Mac123 exclamation mark, and nap.com.au is showing. So you managed to save your file in a TXT format. Imagine I rerun the code and this time I select view credentials, or you can add a new credentials and then view the credentials. Let's rerun the code. Which options you want to do? Select add credentials. Okay, so you see that it's asking for, again, a new username, a new password, and a new URL. What I do, I say it's Peter, Cook, for example. That's the username. Then it's asked for a password. I say it's Peter Cook 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not a strong password, but that's okay. Enter. And these credentials, this username and passwords, for what website, for what URL? You can say I use this for my Facebook. You press enter, you see that again, it goes back to the main menu and it asks for add credentials, view credentials, and exit. This time, I select number 2, view credentials, to see what happens. You see here, it gives me an error, which is good. It says view credential is not defined. Why? Let's see why it's not defined. I go back to view credential to see what might be the problem. Here I say view credentials, view underline credentials. Let's see if I have the same things here. You see, no. I have view credential. But here I define view credentials. So let's delete this S. View credential means just go and open this txt file. Let's rerun the code. I select number 2 and it showed nothing. It just repeated the main menu. 2, again, it doesn't show anything. Why? Because here in view credentials, you just say go open this file, passwords.txt, and read it. But we want to print also whatever is in this function or in view credentials. So do we have anyone completed this section? I can see that you put so many things in the chat, and I go and answer all of those questions. But firstly, let's complete this one. Do we have anyone completed this? If yes, tell me what was your code, and if not, I go ahead and I complete it.
I've got a couple of questions, Amir. Can I ask?
Yeah, sure.
The functions, I mean, they weren't closed, so I was under the impression, aren't they functions within a function? So like add credential is not closed with add credential parenthesis, and then view is also open, or are they individual functions? I was a bit confused on that.
So it's, your code has 3 sections. The main section, what it does, it prints these 3 sentences. Then it asks for your choice, and based on that, it decides what to happen. Inside this function, inside these main functions, we have another 2 functions, one for creating and one for viewing the credentials. So for example, if you say my choice is number 1, Python goes to this one, add credentials. You remember the game that we had in the previous sessions, the reboard game? Do you remember
Oh,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What we did in the reboard game, what we did, for example, we created a function to move to the right because it didn't have move to the right. You remember this game, yes? What we did, it had moved to the left, but it didn't have move to the right. So firstly, what we did, just to create move right. Move right means 3 move left or turn left. Then we created another functions to go 1 block forward. The same way, where is my Google column? The same way we are doing here. So when it goes to choice 1, it executes this function. What is this function? Add credentials. Instead of this, you can delete this if you wish. You can delete this and copy all of these. Copy all of this and put it here. You can do that as well. You can put it here. Instead of having a function inside your code, you can just put all of those codes here. All of this. So if someone selected choice one, firstly, go and ask for username, go and ask for the password, go and ask for the URL, create a password txt file, append it, close it, and print credentials save. You can do it that way as well. So in that case, you don't need to create a new function for it. So what I can do, I can copy all of this, and put it here. So in that case, no, you don't need to create a function. Does it make sense? Or not yet? Hello, Mac?
Yeah, no, it perfectly makes sense. Yeah, and I was a bit confused, but that's fine. It sort of like makes sense because I
Yeah.
remember every function like we create like def main parenthesis colon. We put all the details in there, and then we close that function, isn't it? Like main and then closed. Those functions on the top weren't closed, so I was like a bit confused. Are they still part of the whole code?
So it doesn't need to close it. This is a
Ah,
function. In this function, you just say this is what you need to do when I call main, just go and repeat this task. Print this, print that, print that. Or if you don't want to have the function, for example, here instead of putting uh, view credential here, add credential, you can put sorry, you can put your codes.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
For example, here, if choice is number one, you can say ask for username, input, and the same things that you have here. Enter your username, enter your password.
Right.
We can do that as well. That's totally up to you.
Okay. Okay. And just one more thing. When I press run, nothing is happening on my side, even though the code is exactly the same as yours.
So I need to check. I need to check
Okay.
what might be. Yes, you need to share your screen to see what might be the problem. It might be indentation. It might be,
Oh, okay.
for example, missing a colon or something. But firstly, let's see if
Yeah.
someone has an idea. Personally, store credential URL as a dictionary. So yeah, you can use dictionary, but imagine that so far we didn't learn anything about dictionaries. Any other idea? Yes, I put the main here on the bottom because you need to call it. When you type main, parentheses open, parentheses close, it means that you are calling main. Hey, go and run main. What is main? Printing this three line, choice, blah, 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 print, done. Okay, so I go and did add credentials, everything looks good. Username, password, URL, that's fine. Open the txt file right, username, password, and etc. It's okay. File close, done. Print credentials, save, done. For the second part, view credentials. So again, you need to open the file, password.txt, and read it. What we can do next, I'll just write the codes and then I explain what they do. For example, you can type something like this, create another variable, lines, and then read lines. Read, sorry, lines, read lines. What happened? Lines, read link. Yes. And you see that Python automatically suggest for line in line, just print it. So again, here we have another loop and then close it. Now I reckon our code is ready. Let's rerun. I reckon we have an issue here. Let's delete this. I have to stop this. So one more time. Number 2. I reckon I have 2 blocks for it. That's the reason. Yes, I have 2 blocks. Let's run it again. Add credentials, number 1. No, it has an issue. Let me delete the second one. I reckon it's duplicated. Yes, so now I have the original code. View credentials. Let's add my code here. For line in file written data in the strips. No, I don't want this. For view credentials file, just open the passwords.txt in a read mode. Lines is equal to file read lines and file close. So let's run the code again. It says that expected an intended block after if in line 22. Yes, here. So I deleted add credentials. I put it back. Let's recheck again. Choice 1, 2, 3, add credentials, view credentials, and if choice is number 3, goodbye and break, which is fine. Should be okay. You see that even me, I get errors. That's okay. Number 3, it's working. Let's rerun again. Number 5, invalid input, and it goes back to the loop. Number 1, add credentials, username, Mac, password, Mac, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and URL nap.com. Enter URL nap.com, credentials saved. Let's you go back to the file. You see that the password txt is generated, which is okay. So everything looks fine. The only issue that now we have is to view the credentials. All the other options are working. So if I choose number 2 to view the credentials, still it doesn't show. Yeah, here it shows. No, it doesn't show the view credentials. If I go back to the file, it should be there. Let's download it and have a look. Yes, you see that it's in the file, the new records, Mac 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and nap.com, it's there. So it seems that the code is working, but it doesn't show the credentials here. So there should be an issue here in view credentials. What happens? Let you go and see. Firstly, it opens the password txt, okay? Then it goes and read it line by line. And then it closes it. So everything looks good, but we just need to print it. In order to do that, we can create a loop, for example, like this, for line in lines, print line. Let's rerun the code. Number 2, and you see that it shows the result. So that's the whole code. I explain it again one more time. Firstly, we started with writing the main section. In the main sections, we need to have these 3 sentences: add credentials, view credentials, and exit. If user selected number 1, to go and run this block. If the option is 2, to view the credentials, and if it's 3, just to say goodbye and terminate the process. If there is any other number, not 1, 2, 3, to print invalid input. Then here you have the main function, just to call for the function, just to call for this to repeat again. For number 3, there was no issue, everything was working. For number 1, add credentials, it goes up here. It asks for username, for password, for URL. It create a new password.txt, it append it, and then close and print this, which is fine. Here for the next section, view credentials, it goes and open that passwords.txt. Line by line, it goes and read it and then close it. And then we just ask to print each line. And as you see, it printed each line here. What I want to do now, instead of using functions that might be a little bit confusing for you, this time I go and write the password manager, again, all of these commands, but without functions. So you can see the difference. So your code should be something like this, is a fully functional code. It has all the features. You can add credentials, you can view your credentials, you can save your file in a TXT file, and you can download your TXT file here as well. This next time, I just go and rewrite all of this again, but with no functions, so you can see the difference. Okay, what I do, I just copy from here. So let's create a new block. While true, print this, and this. While true, print add credentials, view credentials, and exit, and then the choice. Okay, print add credentials, view credentials, and exit. Then if the choice is blah, 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 so I create those lines again. This time I'm using no function. Input choose. If the choice is 1, this one, this time I don't want to use the credentials, so I delete this. If the choose is number 2, I delete this as well. If choice is 3, to print goodbye and break, and else invalid input. So that's exactly the same block that I have here. But this time I got rid of the functions. I don't need the functions. So I put all of those lines again here, as you see. Instead of using the function, this time I put exactly the code that I have here on the top. For add credentials, username, password, URL. So username is equal to input username, password, URL. Okay. File open password.txt. Okay. And then write the username, password, and close it. Exactly the same thing that I have here. And then type print credential save. Done. So instead of using a function, like what I did here, and creating the function, I just used exactly the same questions, put it here with no function. The same for choice 2. I see that you put so many things in the chat. I just finished this and then I go to the chat to answer your questions. Open the password.txt, read it line by line, and for line in line, print line. That's it. So that's your whole code. How many line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 line of code. That's the answer for your assessment task too. So if you want to write your code with no function, it does exactly the same thing. Let's see. Number 3, exit, goodbye. I rerun the code. Number 89, it says invalid input and it repeats the process again. Now I want to add credentials. So number 1, you see that it asks for the username. So this time for the username, I put someone else name like Stuart, username Stuart. Then it asks for a password, Stuart987, exclamation mark. And then it asks for a URL. So you can say this is the password and username for a URL like your account in Westpac or Commonwealth Bank or ANZ. Okay, so you save those data, and then if you go and press number 2 to view your credentials, you see that it shows a Stuart Boyd with the password with the username. Instead of comma, if here you use this vertical line, it make it nicer, more readable. So you can do this way as well. It's all up to you. So that's the code. You see that it's working. All the functions are working. It goes back to the menu. It saves the data as a txt file, as you see, passwords.txt. So it's working. Let me have a look on your messages in the chat. And then if you have questions or issue, you can share your screen. Let's just start from the top. Section 1.7. Sections 1.7. Feedback. So for this section 1.7, you can just upload your file and then I give you feedback. Then what else did you not say could upload pics instead of? Yes, if it's not easy for you to take videos for 1.5, for these sections, if it's not easy for you to take a video, you can take some screenshots, but in your screenshots, you need to exactly explain what happens and how you manage taking any screenshots of the error. Then taking another screenshots on how you managed to fix it and just try to explain how you did the debugging process. What else? No content relating to the encryption. So encryption, as I mentioned, just skip it because you don't know what is encryption. We assume that you don't know what is the encryption. So just skip that section. Doesn't need to encrypt your data. As you see, when you go and select number 2, it retrieve all the data in the plain format. Mac 122, which is not safe, which is not secure. So encryption means changing this data to something which is not readable with using some algorithm. But because we have no idea what are the encryption algorithms, AES, DES, and etc., just forget that task. Main function, the else print invalid input blocks should probably have another line. Wait, yes, correct. Lean assessment. I cannot know that. Yes, good. I think it was terminal interface. How will the internal path? Okay, so it seems that you didn't ask for any question to me. The assessment I can say that must be a data structure like list, directory, tuple, etc., which you should have. You are right, Lynn. So honestly, this assessment task has been borrowed from Cert 4 in cybersecurity. We already discussed this in our yesterday meeting. Let me to stop recording. I reckon we covered everything. Recording.